Hi, welcome to another episode of Global Real Estate Spotlight. Today we're discussing how stablecoins and digital assets are transforming the way international investors buy US real estate. For investors across Latin America and around the world, the challenge has never been the lack of opportunity. The challenge has been moving capital safely, quickly, and efficiently. If your goal is to reach financial freedom and global wealth, this conversation will show you what is already possible today. We have a special guest, Ilko from Propi, which he's going to be explaining how Latin American capital is being invested and how you can save a lot of money by following the simple processes that Propi already has in place for you Latin American investors. And welcome to the show, Ilko. Thank you for being
Thank
on.
you. Thank you. So exciting to be here with you.
It's great that you're here. I think you bring a lot of value, and the clients are going to learn a lot about how capital is being moved and how they can save some money at the same time.
Well, who's not excited about saving money and how to actually own them? But this is what is about when you talk about crypto. It's about really like the fundamental principles of being able to control your assets. Correct?
Yes, exactly. And can you tell us a little bit of what is your role in digital real estate closings?
Yeah, like we are Propi, and we are a licensed title and escrow company in the US, basically on a path to revolutionize the whole industry. And how? Because using blockchain automation and the technology that's available, and to provide the visibility, to provide the security for investors to actually control their assets in the most efficient way. So, property title is the in the company that actually allows you to use your funds, whether you hold them in US dollars, whether they're Canadian dollars, gold, euro, or Bitcoin, to actually move them in a secure way, and how you can invest in real estate.
Wow. And question, why should international investors pay attention to stablecoins right now?
Well, there's something about that you opened with is like saying how you build your wealth and how you control your assets. Right now, everybody knows that, banks as an intermediary, they control your funds. You can't really move them without getting their permission. Just like with real estate, you can't really sell your asset without getting an approval from the county recording office. So it's not freedom. And basically, it's about liquidity. It's about being able to control, to move, and to trade with your assets anytime you want. Because 80% of the world's wealth is locked within real estate. And it's
Mhm.
the one of the most non-liquid assets that you can own. So this is what we're trying to change, like change how you can buy, sell, transact real estate. And stablecoin, just like with, you can talk about crypto and you can talk about stablecoin. It's a same conversation, but with a different angle of approach. Because like what we use stablecoins most for is to transfer the funds without the risk of using volatile cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP. Does that
Huh.
make sense?
Yes, and it's very interesting. And let me ask you, what problem does this technology solve from traditional banking that cannot?
Freedom. It's about freedom of exchanging. Right now, if you want to move funds from Ecuador or Chile or Argentina
Hmm.
to the US, you're looking at least 5 to 7 business days and going through multiple banking intermediaries. With crypto, and when I say crypto, I mean it's a more broader term that means any cryptocurrency that can be traded. But as you said, like we're focusing mostly on stablecoin like USDC and Tether, USDT, meaning that their value is pegged to the dollar. There is no volatility moving up or down while your transaction is being processed, but you lock the value. But the technology allows you to send the funds, and the other party probably receives them on the other end in 3 to 5 minutes.
Wait, did you say 3 to 5 minutes?
3 to 5 minutes or
Wow.
quicker.
Yeah, in me personally, dealing with Latin American clients, it does take a long time. And with your system, 3 to 5 minutes, how about do you charge an extra fee or how does that work? How do the clients save money?
Now, keep something in mind. It's not really Propi's system.
Hmm.
It's how you can transact crypto on a global scale. The problem is when you try to move larger amounts or when you want to invest, you hit a very old fashioned roadblock, people not understanding how to manage your funds. This is where we come in as a title company, where we can accept, we can process your funds 24/7. It doesn't have to be Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 5 a.m. because, like, your investor might be on the other side of the globe. It's not the same
Hmm.
working hours there. So
Right.
we make it possible for you, for your client to send a transfer at any time and actually receive those funds in 3 to 5 minutes in our escrow
That's
account, in our crypto escrow
that's
account.
amazing. I don't know many title companies that are doing this. So you guys are on the forefront and on the cutting edge of technology.
Correct. Propi is creating a lot of firsts. We were the first title company to transact and transfer ownership with crypto. That was back in 2017. We were the first title company to transfer ownership of a property on blockchain through smart contracts. So
Oh,
here you're
wow.
not looking at a 30 to 40-day closing period, but 30 to 40 minutes from
Wow. That's amazing.
end to start. Exactly. So
That's
we utilize that technology to make real estate less, how to say, like more
cumbersome.
liquid, not less,
Yeah.
but more liquid as your assets. And yes, like talking about charges, it's actually so much cheaper. I mean, you did a great job with outlining what usually investors are facing when moving funds over to the US. And
Hmm.
it can even get worse than that. Uh, with when you use stablecoins, when you use USDC, again, it's instant transfer. We can confirm the receipt of the funds immediately. And frankly, you are having like a comparison for a, on a, let's say, on a half a million worth of payment, you're
Hmm.
looking at that 0.5% or even less. Like with stable coins, it's even less, like probably 0.2, 0.3% of the volume of
Wow.
the funds that you want to transfer.
And
That
you know that,
that yeah.
no, I was gonna, because that's a great point what you're saying, because it seems like there's hidden fees in traditional banking that customers never really see or the investors never really see. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, usually when you transfer funds from Latin America to the US, you're going through a multiple banking partners. And you know how it usually works. More hands in the pot, the more expensive it gets for the end consumer. Uh, with crypto, that can be just the same. However, what we do is we partner with Coinbase, which is the largest crypto exchange,
Mm.
and we not only control the whole flow of the funds all the way from the buyer to the seller, which is security in the first place. We don't rely on third party intermediaries. We can make it lightning fast and also so much cheaper than a traditional crypto holder can actually convert on their own.
And that you have a great point because I've lost closings in the past because of the delay of the money being transferred or it gets held up. And by using the system that you guys use, it appears that we can eliminate that if I'm understanding that correctly.
Absolutely, absolutely. It reminds me we had a buyer, in the ladies from Paris, over in
Hmm.
France. She was buying in Miami, not a crypto person, traditional payment. Just for the deposit payment, it took her 7 business days for the funds to be received in our escrow account. She almost lost the contract because they had to extend, write an addendum for the deposit payment, and it was like really stressful for everybody. For the final payment, we helped her open up crypto wallet, convert the funds to stablecoin to USDC. We got the funds literally immediately with converting and transferring over to the seller's account. It took us probably about an hour and a half.
Oh
And
wow! So you're and sorry
and
to
it
cut you
was
off
less
on that.
expensive than the traditional fees.
That brings a point because I lost a deal because the money got held up for 2 weeks and the sellers did not want to extend. They had another contract in place. And where were you when I was doing that closing? Because I needed you on that one, especially when it's higher amounts. It's amazing. And your team was able to help that lady out, open up a wallet and do the transfer itself, like guide her through the
Absolutely.
process.
Yeah, like and again, she was not a crypto person. She never had a
Right?
crypto wallet, but it's really like it's not an issue. We're here to help throughout the whole process.
It what's a digital closing? I saw somewhere reading your articles and it said we can do a digital closing. What's a digital closing?
Well, it implements a lot of new aspects of how really real estate can be traded. So first thing we're trying, it's a multiple layer of like changing the whole closing process. So first one is what we talk, like how you transfer the funds and you don't have to wait for banking hours or holiday times, and business hours. So you have to be able to move the funds freely at any time. Then you have the security of having all the online protection, because right now, especially with AI, wire fraud is really a big problem. With in
Yes.
an age where you can create any identity, you can create any document, 2 forms of ID, what the standard verification is not enough. So we add a layer of digital security where we make wire fraud virtually impossible.
Wow.
And then
That's
you
amazing.
have,
Hmm.
it's a big problem that needs to be addressed. And right now, we're not seeing a lot of political movements on that front.
I agree 100% with you. It's a big problem. And the fees that get tacked on, the delays, there's thousands of real estate agents, I'm pretty sure, that are going through this and have gone through it when they're dealing with foreign investors. Now, how would the deposit of earnest money work when an agent has a contract? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. With Propy, we make it really simple and easy. Let's take like both scenarios where you are dealing with a crypto buyer or with a very traditional buyer who wants to use fiat currency, US dollars. So, in the first scenario where you have a crypto buyer, it makes no difference to the whole closing process, to the documents that you sign, even makes no difference to the seller. As far as they're concerned, they just have a cash buyer because Propy handles the funds, converts. By the time we have them in our escrow account, they're already converted in US dollars. And we handle all the compliance, all the security checks, KYC, AML, source of funds, proof of funds, everything is handled through the Propy platform. So as far as everybody in the transaction that are involved, there is no difference whether the buyer comes with pesos or dollars or euro or crypto.
So does your system or your allies, when the money is being transferred, so that the clients can understand and the people watching this, like what is stablecoin and how does that get converted to make a purchase in the US?
Just like another currency, there is
Hmm.
there is not much difference. The only thing
So,
that like usually crypto buyers face challenges are because like lenders don't understand how to handle the uh, all the required documents. Realtors, they don't know what next steps are. Usually sellers are freaked out by the word crypto, but in reality, it's just another currency that holds value.
hmm. That's very interesting. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people listening to this and a lot of people in Latin America are not familiar with it. And that's what we're trying to get them informed that there is an alternative to the traditional banking and waiting a week, 2 weeks, and then you can probably lose the deal just like I did. And so when I
It's a
got to
valid
meet
point,
you and your
absolutely.
company, it made sense. Can is stablecoin the same as Bitcoin? Okay, or are they different?
They're both a digital currency. That means that they're both can take advantage of the automation that is available for on blockchain networks. But in its essence, like they are different. The most like differentiating um, feature is that Bitcoin is a highly volatile currency.
Okay.
People are like like are uh, holding on to their bitcoins because it can really increase in value, but at the same
Hmm.
time it holds the same risk of the price crashing. So that's a
Yes.
personal choice. A stable coin is great because it takes the same advantages of of a digital currency, but without the risk of changing its value during the 30-day window of transaction.
Huh. That's very interesting. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio that they can
Correct.
make that purchase.
Correct.
That's very interesting. And can you walk us through like from A to Z from the closing? How long does the process take roughly?
On a traditional closing,
On a traditional closing, somebody say for somebody in Colombia that has some stable coins or some crypto and they want to buy something in the US, for example, Florida, and they don't know how to go about it or how long it takes. Can you walk us through the process?
absolutely. It can be like usual traditional closing window would be anywhere for a cash buyer between about 20 to 35 days. And that usually depends on what the property condition is, the lien search, title search, if all property documents are ready to be transferred. But of course, there is a delay from the county recording office because there takes time for us to record the new ownership. One of the biggest delays is actually the initial payments. Usually, every contract comes with a 3-day deposit payment
Mhm.
period.
Correct. Yes.
So everybody holds on to those 3 days, whether you're going to have a deal or not, and then starts ordering the lien search, the title search. It takes time, especially in Miami-Dade. It takes 8 days for the county recording office to respond back with the title search and make sure that the property has a free and clear title to be transferred. But with Propy, what we do is we also are very heavy on AI automation. So the moment that you sign the contract and we receive that contract by email, AI reads through that contract, opens the escrow within 2 to 3 minutes. Buyer receives an invitation, like a payment link, regardless whether it's with crypto or with traditional fiat US dollars. Buyers can initiate that payment immediately. Our record is 4 minutes since the buyer signed the contract until it initiated the deposit. And that was on a
Wait,
Friday evening at 9 p.m.
did I hear you right? Did you say 4 minutes?
4 minutes. Four
Oh, wow.
minutes. Absolutely.
That's
And that
that's
doesn't have
amazing.
to be crypto.
Wow. So is there any different for that investor that has never closed or used any digital currency compared to a traditional title company? Should they be afraid of anything?
Ignorance.
Okay. Yes.
Well,
So
people are afraid of what they don't understand. So they got to be one of the biggest issues with during a transaction is the lack of clear communication.
can they
So
close remotely?
absolutely, absolutely, we are built for online closings, so we can initiate and we can close that deal regardless whether your buyer is at the property, whether they're on the other side of the US, or maybe in Chile, or the other side of the globe.
That's very interesting. So if I'm understanding correctly, investors in Chile and Argentina and Colombia, if they can buy property in the US, but they can stay in their country and close remotely. Is that what I'm understanding?
Absolutely, all they need is a trusted realtor and make sure they guide them through the right investment.
Wow, that's amazing. Is there a delay? Do they have to go to the consulate? Do they have to do anything like that?
No, no, they can even close on a weekend. We can actually close that on a weekend. That reminds me of another interesting closing that we had this year. Is we had a crypto buyer. They wanted to use Bitcoin, I believe,
Hmm.
and just for the deposit though, they wanted to take advantage of a very traditional lending process where they get a mortgage for the house, um, which had its challenges because traditional lenders don't quite understand how to handle crypto receipts and payment structures. But we pushed that through that. It wasn't without its challenges, but we managed to take it to the closing date. The and the day before, I call them and I tell them, "Hey Juan, like, are you ready? We're gonna be closing tomorrow." They
Uh-huh.
were like, uh, "No, we are on a yacht in the middle of the Atlantic."
Oh, wow.
And
How do you do
and I
that?
told them, like, "How you do that with a traditional lender? You have to put your wet signature in front of them. It doesn't work like this." So we tried to, reason with the lender whether they're going to accept this or not, and they didn't. So it they scrapped the lending option, and they funded everything with crypto. So they still continued on their journey through the Atlantic. We closed that deal the same day without any delays, and it actually worked even quicker than traditional closings.
Wow. So the client still closed and they were still on their yacht?
Yeah, yeah. They told me we're gonna be coming back in 2 weeks, and the seller didn't want to extend. So hopefully, for them they had enough funds to fund the deal in a different way, but they used crypto just to close the same day.
That's amazing. So, and that's very good because I get a lot of calls from clients that are in Latin America, and they're like, we don't want to fly over there. We don't. So by doing
They don't have
this
to.
option, they don't have to. And that applies to
Exactly.
most American or Latin American countries or all of them.
All of them. It doesn't matter.
Wow, that's a great that I haven't heard that. So that's really, really good.
The
Because
future is the future is now.
yes, how do you see stable coins changing real estate over the next 5 years?
A lot. A lot has moved. We've been in this space for a while, and it's a very uphill battle that we fight. But in the last few years, especially with the new U.S. administration, there's been a lot of changes. A lot of the large lending corporation have started to accept crypto as means of collateral for securing loans. There's going to be a lot of the investors are already, turning their interest towards like using their crypto assets for collateral to secure real estate investments. So it's going to be transferred to the traditional consumer more and more, where like I'm not talking about, you know, huge investors holding millions of crypto assets, talking about anybody who has 20,000 or $30,000 in crypto would like to use it as a collateral to secure a real estate investment.
That's amazing. And like I said at the beginning, you guys are at the forefront of technology, and this is going to help a lot of clients just be able to make those purchases because a lot of people are afraid and because they're not informed, like you mentioned before. What do you think investors should do today to prepare?
Find the correct realtor to work with.
That's a great answer.
That can
That's a
make a
great
difference.
answer. Find the right team, right? It makes a whole difference.
Yeah, and funds, assets, regardless what form they come, all good.
That's great. Well, thank you. Thank you once again for being on the show. And do you have any closing statements? Anything you want to say to the public?
Well, real estate is changing. How we keep our assets is changing, and it's about liquidity. Especially if you're looking to invest in real estate, think about like you are not investing in the same product as you have been 20 years ago. When you have an asset that with increased liquidity, its price will go up. So you don't have to hold on to the same asset for 20 years if you don't need it. But there's going to be more and more, like it's going to be a different way of how we look at where we keep our money and how.
That's amazing. And once again, thank you for being on the show. It was very insightful. I know the customers are going to get a lot of good information out of this. We'll be in touch soon. And there you have it, folks. Ilko from Proppy, he brought a lot of information. The bridge already exists. Technology is regulated and the infrastructure is already in place. So the question is, are you ready to use it? And if you have any questions for you guys out there, we have some material that's going to be very helpful and material regarding Proppy, how you guys can learn more just by hitting the QR code or contact us to book a strategy call, how we can help you find and buy assets in the US. Once again, Ilko, thank you for being on the show. We wish you
Thank you,
the
Hugo.
best, and we'll be in touch soon. We'll be sending you some clients.
Amazing.
Thank you.